Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of It Came From Left POLITIGRAM. My name is Joanne, and this is my co-host.
Hi, I'm Olga.
Hi, and I'm Josh, or at commissar.commissar. I think that's the right one, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about Asian hate and other stuff. So yeah, we're gonna start. So Olga.
All right, let's discuss. Let's have a discussion. The fact that this shit started happening, like this increase started happening like a year ago, and it seems to resemble the increase in hate crimes that happened after 9/11 towards Middle Eastern folk, which I am also. So great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and let's not. I think I see a lot of like very liberal takes on the Asian hate crime thing, especially from
Oh
very, I
god.
guess, privileged Asians being like, oh, we just look at what's happening. So that's fine. That's fine. But then they start blaming black people as well. I've
Yes,
seen a
oh
lot
my
of
god,
that.
the
Yeah.
amount of
Yeah,
times
I
I've
see.
heard that.
Mm, like you guys realize that if you look up in the statistics, white people are still disproportionately the ones committing hate crimes against Asians, right? The media just blew up a couple cases where it was a black person or black people,
Yeah, that's
uh,
actually quite interesting too. I don't
which
know the exact statistics, actually. I might need to look into that. You might need to give me a source on that, which is quite interesting.
um also uh I noticed, I think my best guess for why this is happening is because the BLM protests that happened only a year ago. So a lot of anti-racist sentiments exist amongst black people as a group right now. And there was a good amount of unity between black and Asian people during that time period. And because of how close the upheaval in conversation around Asian hate crimes is to the BLM protests, I wonder if our imperialist capitalist media is trying to create a wedge.
Oh,
Can I
Stuff
interesting.
like
just add
they have.
something? Can I just add something?
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's really cringe because it's from a video from Vosh, but hear me out, hear me out. Okay, I watched a video about the anti-Asian hate crime thing from Vosh, and he made a really good, interesting point. So he kind of compared this, like the media, like the media on the anti-Asian hate thing, with the um, what's it called, the 1992 LA riots. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so basically,
Elaborate though.
as in what the riots were about, or
Yeah, about
How
like what
what
happened.
what point did what point did Vosh make? We don't watch Vosh,
Yeah, I don't.
okay.
and I don't think
Okay,
neither
so
is our
basically,
audience.
okay, okay, I'll just get to the point. But in the LA riots, there was it was basically like a kind of a BLM protest thing, where I don't know the exact details, but I think like a few black people were killed by white policemen, and that
No, we know
sparked the
the
pro.
events of the LA riots. We know the events of the LA
Yeah,
riots. How does this
just
relate to? What did Vosh say when it comes to relating it to the
okay,
situations happening now?
okay. So with the police and how they reacted to the riots. I think what I can remember is that the police were trying to push the protesters onto like more Asian communities, especially like the Korean like businesses. And
Hmm.
those like pictures of like Korean businessmen trying to like shoot down the protesters. You know that like image that some
Yeah.
people see. Yeah,
Hmm.
that they in a way that like the police kind of tried to pin down Asians and like the protesters who were primarily black, because it was like a black like racism issue with police brutality, and they were trying to pin them into each other in the way to like fight each other, like POC infighting, instead of standing together against like the real problem, which is the police. Which so I can kind of link this to what's happening right now with the media, just like the police trying to pin POCs like against each other in a kind of divide and conquer kind of
Yeah.
ways.
I understand. I think I get it. It's like the police refuse to protect the communities of these people, their small businesses, and so and they allowed for a situation where two oppressed groups in this country came head to head, and this is
Mm.
kind of what's happening now. Uh, our authorities are refusing to protect Asians in any meaningful way, especially Asians who are not privileged. Um, and then what these Asians, to prevent them from seeing that, hey, they have more in common with other oppressed groups, they kind of
Mm.
create this they kind of
Like distracting
manufacture.
the POC,
Yeah, yeah,
basically.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I also wanted to discuss a specific hate crime, that of the one that just happened in Atlanta, the Atlanta shooting.
Right.
A white incel, and in my school newspaper, I was not allowed to call him that. A white male incel. And I don't know if he identified as an incel or anything, but he had the vibes. Went into a bunch of Asian businesses, massage parlors, I think they were, and killed 6 Asian women and 2 other people. Those 2 other people were were just customers and stuff. This is disgusting, and the fact that our media, whilst is unable to call it a hate crime, is sickening. Whilst meanwhile in South Korea, they're just openly calling it a hate crime. Like, what?
Yeah. Also,
It's so obviously anti-woman and anti-Asian.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to intervene a little bit, but I wanted to say something. The fact that the cops came out in his defense and said that he was just having a
Ugh.
bad day, that is a fucking
You
slap
know,
in
I
the
want
face.
yeah.
That is a legit slap in the face to anyone who is like suffering through this right
Yeah.
now.
I wanted to say something. Do you find it interesting that like the policeman, when talking about a white terrorist into those, and like doing that anti-Asian hate crime, he was excused for like, oh, he had like a lot of sexual problems, but then that, like, with the police's view and the media's portrayal of like black people just like, I don't know, having a few drugs with them or like looking really suspicious, like, do you
Mm-hmm.
see the difference between how
Yeah.
Yes.
they're
The
portrayed? Yeah.
the bar for what is acceptable for white people, they can be fucking literal racist terrorists, whilst people of color have to be perfect, pristine individuals to be taken uh like
They have to
seriously
be
as
angels.
victims. They
They
have
Yeah.
to
have to
be
be
literal. Yeah,
angels.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
But even
very
then, what
disturbing.
happened? Look at what happened to Breonna Taylor, who was like an EMT, right? Is that what she was? Like, sh
People are trying to. Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, like,
People. Sorry. Yeah.
oh my
You
god,
carry on.
being a literal angel isn't enough.
Mm.
Yeah.
People are still trying to like a lot of people, especially conservatives, are still trying to like portray like Breonna Taylor as like as if she deserves it, even though she literally was in a house doing nothing, and the police like broke into her house
They always do
and
this.
pretty
This
much
is
killed
not
her.
surprising. They always try to pin the victim as, something that it's, a problem for society, or that is,
Yeah.
is inherently dangerous to society, the victim. And
Mm.
they do this to just like minimize everybody's, pain, POC pain, and just to
Yeah.
justify their white guilt. It's mostly just justification of white guilt. They don't want to face the reality that shit is really this bad for people who don't look like them. So yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to mention how liberals are 100% going to use this incident as a reason for we need to ban guns. Okay, let's look at who's killing who. If we look at all the gun shootings, the mass shootings that have happened in the past since the mass shooting epidemic has really started, um, almost all the shooters are white men. There are very few people of color and very few women and other groups doing any of this.
Mm-hmm.
It is white men. This is the violence of white men. And they're not the people who need protection. They're not the people who need guns. They're not the people who
Yeah,
need guns. I'm sorry.
yeah,
And white liberals are like gonna be like, take away guns, take away guns. Bitch, you're literally arguing to disarm the oppressed with justifying it using the violence of the privileged. Fucking
yes,
God.
yeah.
Okay, I
That's
wanted to
definitely
say
not.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
I wanted to add on to that. Sorry. Oh my god, I'm so sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay.
But
Go ahead.
can I? Yeah. I wanted to add what Olga was saying. I think like when liberals say like, oh, we should ban guns, I think it's basically like removing a quote unquote danger and replacing it with another danger. For example, government or like the brutality of the ruling class being much more easy because we as a working class are disarmed. So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to add basically.
Right. I wanted to add something else. The fact that there is this clear double standards in the media. When it comes to reporting hatred or hate crimes, they don't really do much. Especially when it comes to this, this last shooting that happened. They were trying to protect the shooter for some reason, and
translating him basically.
yes, they were backing him up in a weird way. They did apologize, some of them, afterwards, which is, like, the damage is done. You already manipulated.
The bare minimum.
Yes, you did the
minimum.
Yes, exactly. But the damage is still done, and you brainwashed or succeeded to brainwash, a major portion of the population. People don't really seem to understand how much power the media has, especially the mainstream media.
Especially the media apparatus is massive.
Yes,
Okay,
and
I wanted to also talk about.
Hey, could I step into something? I step into something? This is kind of pertinent information.
Yeah, go ahead.
And the stuff we're hearing on TV are the hate crimes that they are reporting on. The truth is that there have been thousands upon thousands of hate crimes that have happened, and probably some that aren't even reported in because of fear, but also because people don't really know how to report hate crimes. Do not go to your police station.
No.
Go straight to the FBI. They have a specific unit
division. Yes.
for dealing with hate crimes. They have to look into hate crimes no matter what they are. The police can brush things aside. Thank you.
Yeah, they would definitely not care.
Yeah. Okay, can I talk? I forgot. Okay, I remember what I was gonna say. With what Olga said, I'm gonna have a little criticism. I think what you said was generally good. However, what you said about I think you were completely correct that we need to ban guns, like pretty much goes against the more oppressed groups like the POC. But I think it, in a way, I don't think you're trying to insinuate this with intent, but it seems to some people who might not understand that they'll take it as, but so I'm guessing we need to disarm the white and privilege. I don't think that's the case.
Oh no, not at all.
I think we need
not
to
at all.
arm everyone basically. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, just so we mean by, I don't mean just, because another thing about all these shooters is that a lot of them come from also class-wise relatively well off. There's also an aspect of class. They're well off white men with privilege. As in there are plenty of white people who do not have privilege. And frankly, they shouldn't be part. Just Josh is completely right. What Josh said is exactly what I meant.
Yes.
Right.
Just to put that out there.
Also, let's discuss imperialism and how it relates to this anti-Asian sentiment. As long as the United States continues to have economic interests in Asia, and in the West just having economic interest in taking over Asia economically, anti-Asian racism will continue. And the same goes for every other minority. As long as the ruling class, which in the West, which tends to be white, obviously, white and Western, as long as that ruling class has an interest in exploiting black people around the world and here, exploiting Hispanic people across Latin America and for their agricultural labor here, exploiting Asians, as I said earlier, exploiting the Middle East for oil, etc. and etc. As long as they have an interest in doing that, they will continue to spread propaganda. They will continue the system of racism as we know it.
Right.
The only real end that there can be to this is the end of capitalism and imperialism, something liberals will definitely disagree with, but that's just a hard fact.
They would just
These
try
are
to
the systems
protect
perpetuating this all.
Yeah, they would try to protect the systems that, at the long term hurts POC people. So yeah,
you cannot upkeep You cannot upkeep capitalism whilst dismantling white supremacy. You can't. It's oxymoronic.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure if you had a discussion with Destiny, he would disagree with you.
Destiny.
God, holy shit, that guy. So
let's not talk about him.
no, obviously not. You know, he who should not be mentioned in this podcast.
Yes.
But yeah, I feel like you know, continuing on the whole Destiny thing, I do think that you know Destiny is like kind of hurting the online debate community because he's incredibly influential, unfortunately. And you know, I've been seeing more and more liberals go against leftists when it comes to this. And you know, just all I have to say is you know, leftists get the bullet in the video game. Liberals, I
You
mean.
said leftists.
Liberals.
Oh my god.
I meant liberals. Liberals get the
Oh my
bullet
god.
Oh.
in a video game.
Um, like we have to be careful. Like, and we mean liberals TM here, not liberals who are just people who lean left and aren't very ideological.
Oh
We're
yeah,
talking about those who know about leftism, who have
and still
considered these
ignore it.
ideas, but still choose to support capitalism directly and white supremacy indirectly.
Yes,
That's just
the worst type of liberal.
oh god, they're the worst. There's so little empathy there, so little.
It's the fact that also there's like multiple things. You know, lack of empathy is definitely a part of it, but another is just not wanting to get proven, you know, wrong. I feel like that's a major point of it.
Of course.
Too,
Yeah.
a big thing is just like with us leftists in general, but like very different values on things with us and the liberals TM the TM liberals. You know?
Yes, the TM. I want to mention something else as well. I want to give an example of what we mean by they support white supremacy indirectly. So many of them buy into overpopulation myths. The idea that we're overpopulated. This is a common thing that they will circle jerk around. The idea that, oh, we need to, yeah, that's my impression of them.
Yeah.
What they don't realize is that birth rates in developing countries are also falling down thanks to education and contraception. For example, in Bangladesh, the current average amount of kids per woman is 2.5. That's pretty much the same as the United States. I think we're
Actually,
at like 2.2.
No. Actually, no. Well, in America, it's like 1.7 right now. But in Bangladesh right now in this year, it's actually 2.1. So, which is like literally exactly.
Oh,
like
so
the exact replacement rate or something.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I'm even more right. Like in fact, in the first world, we're having an issue of depopulation because people aren't giving birth because it's economically infeasible.
Yes.
Especially neoliberalism.
It's not really a good idea.
All my homies hate neoliberalism. Like exactly. And the fact that liberals will continue to perpetuate the idea that like, oh, all those people in the third world are having 1 billion kids. No, they fucking aren't. No, they fucking aren't. In fact, right now, we're actually at peak child. Like we have reached, like the amount of children in the world has actually plateaued at 2 billion. That means our population will only increase, like our peak population will be about 10 billion, and then it will plateau or even fall.
Yeah.
That like guys.
What we really need to worry about is an aging population, especially in the first world, because we're not going to have enough young people if there's way less births to take care of the old people. So that's a big problem.
Yeah, we need social safety nets.
China is having a really huge, even though it has a huge population, it's having a really bad aging population like issue because of decreasing birth rates and the one-child policy, which is a whole other topic. But yeah,
let's bring this up. Just the fact that such a policy ever came to light as an idea is so bizarre and just cruel. Like I can guarantee you, if around the same time period in the United States that policy was pulled out, we would also have a massive amount of males over females. I can guarantee you that would happen here as well. Probably not to the same degree percentage-wise, but it still would happen.
Sure.
Like, to put that kind of rule in a patriarchal society where men are valued over women, any patriarchal society, what's gonna happen is that boys will be preferred as children over girls.
Like, and there will also be a huge number of girls that will be like discarded by their own families the day they're born because of that problem. So because of that gender thing, yeah. Like what's happening in China.
Yeah.
I wanted to come
It's
back
kind
to
of
the
insane.
yeah, I wanted to come back to the whole like right now when it comes to like population. The fact that people, especially on the right, they seem to be under the impression that we can our generation, which is Gen Z, could just populate. It is up to us in a weird way. They don't seem to understand that the material conditions doesn't really
Prevent us
it's
doing that,
it's yeah it's not letting us. It is incredibly difficult and incredibly expensive to raise a child. Um, it was expensive back in the 90s. It's even more expensive now. It is not possible. And on top of that, Gen Z's culture is way more different than millennials or even older generations. We're one of the most gayest generations of, of all time. Unironically, we're pretty gay. Um, and they people like this, right, people boomers, they don't really seem to understand those material conditions. Most people don't want to have families anymore, especially people in my age range. We're just interested in our careers, we're interested in our personal lives rather than making or creating a family.
Because
um
unlike for sorry,
yeah
oh my god,
yeah no
sorry.
no go ahead.
Because for them, raising a kid, although it was still hard, the financial side of things was pretty easy. For us, raising a kid is sacrificing so much, especially those of us who are women or femme presenting. Like, opportunities decrease if you breed as a femme person in our society.
Yeah,
Right,
Like,
true.
drastically. Yeah.
and
um
even in our generation, marriage itself is still like, I know there's these lib ideas that, oh, marriage is equal. No, it fucking isn't. Someone's gonna be forced into, unless this is like a marriage between like two gay people. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but if there's something other than that, marriage is still going to be, somebody is going to be forced into reproductive labor, and somebody is going to be is someone is just oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm tripping over my words, I'm so sorry.
it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Someone will still be doing a double shift, whilst another person will be just doing productive labor, and that person who's going to be doing both reproductive and productive labor is going to be the woman or the femme presenting individual. That's just going to be it, because our capitalist society requires this nuclear family type of deal to actually continue on. Someone needs to be, whether literally or not, a baby factory.
Right. Yeah, and
Like,
those
and
gender
no matter
roles.
what you do, no matter what you do, it's not gonna stop unless your marriage is specifically, like, you guys specifically sit around there discussing fucking patriarchy and the hegemony and everything. Unless it's that kind of marriage, which is very few marriages, that, talking to you liberals, that's not you. It's going to end up like that.
Yeah,
And
it's
people in our generation are starting to realize it.
yes. And
Sorry.
I feel
Yeah,
like no,
sorry.
no, it's okay. And it's true. It's a very interesting conversation because, our generation. Well, I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody in my generation, but we do tend to critically think about what gender roles stand now. Millennials started it, and we're finishing it, in a way.
We're just bad as a generation.
Yeah, and we're changing the standards of a relationship and how even people outside of the relationship are accepted in society. Now it's okay to be an incel, to come out and say, yeah, I never had sex with anyone, or I never felt romantic interest with anyone. And we're when it comes to I guess making that more accessible for people, making that seem less of an issue, more opportunities are opened. And that's another material condition that is letting us to, well, not have families. I'm not saying that nobody in my generation has families. That's a lie. Obviously, they do. But there is a major portion of us who, tend to understand what's happening in a more deeper level than other generations, per se. And millennials started it. We're finishing it, definitely. So,
I want to
Also,
do just...
I want to point something out very, very quickly before Josh intersects. You said, just so the audience, you said it's okay to be an incel. By incel, we don't mean somebody who hates women. We just mean the neutral early
celibate.
definition of incel.
Yes.
Yeah, just involuntary celibate. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
Not
Josh.
not the
Or
incel one.
Yeah.
Not the
I
Fortune
wanted to,
incel.
not incel TM. Not incel TM, whatever. Okay, I wanted to say, so yeah, we really should focus on the issue of depopulation and all that, and that's, but I think with just saying, oh, we need to, like, this indirectly supports a far right argument actually when talking about depopulation, when we talk about just births without any context, because the whole, we need less women's rights to increase birth rates because make women into baby factories. I think that's not where we should go. I think what we should do is, I can't really describe it, but like,
Have a kinder economic system. Maybe
yes,
not live under fucking neoliberalism. Neoliberalism has wrecked the world, wrecked America, wrecked the workers, wrecked the people. We need to not have that. That's what you're looking for right there.
Yeah.
Maybe actual socialism even.
and we could have like a more stable birth rate, but actually less depressing in a way. Can't really describe that. Yeah, but how like women who want to have a family, and when they give birth, it's way less harder to have it, and way less demanding, way less like oppressive, I guess, like within, they don't have to, they can like share like the time with a husband.
Equitable. I think you're looking for the
yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Like less patriarchal and all that.
Yes,
Right.
yes, absolutely.
But the issue is still going on, and I feel like to wait for a social, revolution, for a cultural revolution, or even an economical one, it's a little bit utopian. I feel like we should look for a solution for now, especially when it comes to the white, cishet men
that is
solution.
building. We build dual power, and we put women and femme-presenting people at the forefront. We need to build dual power, like in every community.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
something that needs to happen. And
that,
that's the first step to building revolution. That's another thing. Without dual power, there can be no revolution.
And also building way better material conditions. So if, for example, having like more more like more well-off families and all that, to like, so to make it easier to have children or whatever, or not have children or something. You know what I mean, right?
No, not really. I think you're talking about having social support, social welfare systems that actually make things more stable. Is that what you're talking about?
In a way, yeah. Like on its own, it's not good, but like that's one thing we could have when having those dual power structures, like what you were talking about, Olga.
Right, that's definitely a solution for now. Hopefully, going forward, we can actually like understand what's going on exactly, because right now it's a little bit up in the air. There's a lot of variables, and definitely I'll tell you, my colleagues and in my college, when it comes to sociology, they're going insane, especially when it comes to this whole in celibate kind of problem. People don't really understand. Older people like boomers or millennials, even millennials, they don't really seem to understand what being a celibate person really is in today's kind of climate. And they're trying to understand, and they're trying to keep up. And I think this is another problem that the media runs into, because most people in the media aren't really like Gen Zers, because most Gen Zers are in the age of 6 and 24, if I'm right. So don't really, have the opportunity to be in high-level positions of power yet. But yeah, the media seems to run into this whole, cultural shift problem. They don't really seem to represent the issues that our generation are going through. And that's another problem, because they do impact a lot of other generations, and their opinion, and that's an issue that we need to fix as well. This is and a solution that I might actually put forward is alternative more mainstream media.
Alternative media.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is definitely a way to spread the word and say, hey, this is what's happening
Counteract
right
the
now.
mainstream media.
Yeah.
And this is what we think.
Mhm.
Like, So at the very least, some boomers who may just be kind of confused on what we think can possibly hear what our opinions are. Now, a lot of them also are filled with like complexes around whether, like, a lot of them are like, don't want to accept that what they worked for may not be all their labor. Like, I worked hard for this, but that kind of mentality makes them ignore the fact that their shit is built on a legacy of colonialism and imperialism and all of that shit.
All that garbage. Yeah.
Also,
God.
like saying that, oh, I worked hard for younger generations. Like, okay, yeah, you still have worked in like wage labor. Well, like, what then? It really doesn't take into account of like our generation too. Like, okay, you work too. We're also working. Like, especially harder than you. Not gonna lie, like harder than previous generation.
Bitch, you had Sally Mae. You had free college. Your healthcare wasn't insanely expensive. Your wages were rising.
You had the ability to actually get a very stable job, which is a great part of it.
In America, I'm not sure about the whole, like, in other Western countries, but in America, in the 1950s, everyone was pretty much paying their fair shares of wages. Now it's just like a lot of poor, like, working class people are even paying more taxes than the ultra rich. So that's a huge yikes. That's a huge issue that's happening right now.
We just need to get okay. Time to go, mask off. We just need to get rid of the rich as a class. Like, the bourgeoisie need to go. Just go.
Okay, we tried. We tried, and it failed. Holy shit. Mask off, distill the bourgeois. In a video game. YouTube, don't eat us in a video game. In Fortnite.
In a video game. In Fortnite, yeah. In our Minecraft in our Christian BDSM Minecraft server.
Yes, indeed. Just bring the guillotine.
We're not advocating for anything, YouTube. Please don't ban us. Thank you very much.
No violence advocated here. None.
Yes.
None.
We don't like violence. We're very peaceful people.
I mean, that's not really a lie. We do want peace, but the problem is that those that are oppressors are fine with slaughtering millions upon millions for their for their hoarding problem with money. That's the thing. Otherwise, we would be completely peaceful, and we would be supporting all the most peaceful strategies.
Right.
But that's not the reality we live in.
Yeah.
To be honest, going against the ruling class is pretty much self-defense. Like, if you really want peace, then you're going to go against the ones aggressing against us. Against us working class people, against the proletariat. Oh no, I've said proletariat, haven't I?
Oh my god. For example, they're literally like Bolsonaro in fucking Brazil is burning the Amazon for the profits of large corporations. The Amazon is extremely important to our access to oxygen, which we all need to fucking breathe.
Yeah, we're gonna end up like, in Ancapistan. What fucking NCAP's wet dream is, paying for oxygen in, the next 20 years. Holy shit, man.
Free trials for oxygen.
Yes. Oh $15 every breath you take. Alright, well, enough of that meme. It is true, though. We do need to protect the Amazon. The wrong Amazon is burning, and the right one is dying, so, just saying.
Yeah, the wrong Amazon. Also, speaking of Amazon and the wrong Amazon burning, good luck to those people with their unionization efforts.
Right.
I hope they get it done.
Solidarity.
And I hope they cuck Bezos.
Yeah,
and I hope they cock them. Yep.
Just cock that little bitch. Yeah.
I hope they do something about Bezos, not insinuating anything.
No, obviously not. Just like, we just want them to succeed in whatever they're planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever they're planning in big quotation marks.
Oh my god. Oh god, we're not good at this, aren't we?
Okay. Let's skip this. I think we made enough of this type of joke. I want to plug something in, just as we're kind of having a small little laughing break. I want to plug a band that one of my personal colleagues is in. They're called the Killing Fields. They're a punk band. The band members are Nico, Sam, Sydney, and Ashton. And their Instagram is at killing_fields_band_official.
Woo! Go
It'll
support our
be linked
comrades.
in
Yes.
yeah and Nico is a Maoist like me, so yes, definitely go support our comrades. Their ad will be in the description along with our ads. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Alright. Well, that's
They
basically
were
the
so
only
sad.
ad that we will ever have.
It's
Say.
the only kind of ad we'll ever have. Yep.
Yeah. The guests will be in our next episode, I'm pretty sure.
At least
Not
one of our
today.
next episodes. We're not sure
Yeah.
which one of our next episodes because
We're
we have to
hoping.
plan the timing.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we one of our members had a medical emergency last week when we planned to do this recording.
Yeah.
So and they were supposed to be on in that recording, but unfortunately the medical emergency got in the way.
Yeah.
So they're probably going to be in on one of the next times.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, going
Um,
back to the whole topics at hand. So we already talked about the Asian hate rising and basically over the in the entire world.
Overpopulation.
Yeah,
One thing I
overpopulation
wanted to
and
add-
imperialism. What else were we gonna talk about?
Okay, we're gonna finish the overpopulation topic very soon, but I just wanted to add one more thing about the thing.
Mhm.
People, especially the alt-right, complain about immigrants' birth rates and native birth rates. So I've did some research, and with America and the UK, the gap between not only immigrants' birth rates are decreasing, but the gap between native birth rates and immigrants' birth rates are also at a general decrease. So just saying.
Yeah.
And did you want to add anything to that, or?
No, I feel like this whole section is pretty done for. It's true. Just
Alright.
FYI to everybody who's listening, overpopulation is a huge myth, and it's only used to propagate the ruling class. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and divide the working class around the world in a similar way to the way the working class is divided in like what we mentioned in the media with black people and Asian people. This is a strategy of dividing the working class between the global north and the global south.
Which
Not
is
only
very
that, but-
dangerous.
Yeah, not only
Yeah,
that,
it's gonna be
but
dangerous.
overpopulation rhetoric is a huge drive for fascism.
Yes.
Yes.
So when it comes to other topics, I wanted to talk about what's happening, what basically happened in the 2020 election. We've been wanting to talk about this for like the longest time, and myself, I have a lot of just thoughts,
Yeah.
Go off.
and I'm gonna
Go
go off.
I'll
Okay,
let
so
Joanne talk.
just right off the bat, fuck every single little piece of shit in the Capitol. Just fuck them. They're shitty people. Fuck them. That's not how you do a revolution. And honestly, calling that a revolution is such a fucking stretch. You're right wingers. Your only type of revolution is killing black people and lynching them in the streets. That's basically it. And when it comes to this, like, what is this coming from? Yes,
It's a false revolution.
It's a false revolution. But the thing is, I saw this TikTok of a woman, in the protest, quote unquote protest. It was more like a riot, but not really a riot because riots usually intend that it's something good, that they're fighting for something good. It was a fucking insurrection. That's what it is. This woman was talking about she wanted to be a part of the revolution. And honestly, holy shit, watching that fucking TikTok made me want to just go off. Just,
Also, yeah.
it's not a revolution, bitch. That's not a revolution. That's not how you do it. I mean, the only
That's a reaction.
It's a reaction.
That's a reactionary thing. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a reactionary movement.
Yeah, it is.
Also,
It's inherently that.
Also,
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
prime intention of that quote-unquote revolution wasn't even revolution. They were literally, coping the fact that Trump lost the election. That's it. That's really it.
And they
that's
had
all it
intentions
is.
to attack their own kind, including conservative Republican politicians, and they wanted to lynch Mike Pence. We hate Mike Pence here, obviously, but just to show you how delusional and coping these people are, they want to kill a top member of Trump's staff.
Yes. Yeah, they
Also,
inherently
after
wanted to do that.
Also, after the election, the amount of like, yeah, like you'll know what I'm talking about. But the amount of right-wing infighting I've seen is hilarious. I just have to say.
It is. The reaction that came after was completely insane. It was everybody was just trying to, push sides. Who was, in what side. And there was like this obvious split between, I guess the only thing I can kind of express myself would be, libertarians versus fascists. Because I did see some, in the libertarian, defense, they did say that they didn't want it, any violence, but the ones who sparked it was the fascists, the ones who were just so fed up with what was happening and so delusional when it comes to QAnon and all this type of conspiracies they believe, that they don't fucking care. They didn't fucking care. They just went in there, and started destroying shit and, taking.
I was gonna think that, yeah. It was mainly like, I think in my opinion, it was mainly like Republicans versus libertarians.
It was that,
And
yes.
I think there was a bit of fighting between Republicans and fascists, but like it's so hard to distinguish
it is
Republicans with fascists.
Yeah, that's the issue. That's the issue that, we've been having. That the fact that, it's not really possible to know what type of person, were they in that scenario. But I would guess there is like some few fascists, and they're like, more than a handful, that's for sure. And when it comes to like conservatives, it was mostly conservatives, but this is not new. Conservatives will always bend their knee to fascists because they're eat close of becoming fascists themselves. So
yeah, true.
It was just
and
liberals, yes. God, don't get me started with liberals. Liberals would do it because they're a bunch of fucking pussies. But conservatives would do it because it's just the last nail on the last drop in their philosophical, I guess, thinking. Yeah. And it's different reactions, but it's the same solution. They will always end up being fascist. And this is what happened, right? In the insurrection. And they will obviously always throw themselves under the bus. They will always do this because they're fascists. They're right-wingers. They don't really have the, I guess the capacity to understand that, going against each other is an inherently negative thing to do. So it's not new. Like I said, not new. They neutral themselves every time that they need to. So that was one. That's basically my first thought, right, when I started watching the whole insurrection. The second one was the fact that the fucking cops there didn't do shit. Didn't do fucking shit. Some of them turned around and said, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna let this fucking bunch of psychos get into the fucking Capitol. Sure, why not? What's the worst that could happen? Well, people died. That's the worst that could happen. AOC was almost murdered. That's it. She doesn't want to say it, but that's what had happened. She was almost murdered by a bunch of fucking psychos. And not just her. It was multiple people in the Congress. So the cops completely failed. However, I do have to say, one of them did succeed at something. The fact that one security guard managed to push them away from where the congressmen were. That's, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to say this. He's a hero. All right. ACAB, but that person, great, good job. That's the only cop that I'm actually gonna say, hey, you did your job. Which is a low bar, but you at least did something.
I will also point out something about this cop. He was black.
Yes, he was black, and that's incredible.
Meanwhile, the white cops letting the quote unquote protesters into the Capitol, just like letting them in. Now, obviously, just because they're still cops, they're still all cops, ACAB, but individual cops aren't capable of individual good actions. That's not what, like, ACAB doesn't mean that all cops are like evil or whatever. It means that they're class traitors.
Right.
Not only that, but they believe in a lot of them, and they kind of have to. They have to believe in the police system, which is inherently, very destructive, hierarchical, and pretty much targets, especially like the working class and more marginalized people.
Yeah. So basically, that's what, the fucking military did. Not military, the cops. And then, fucking, what, hours later, the military did show up. It's like, bitch, why now? Like, everything, we needed you earlier. And now you're, showing up, like, wow. And, okay, this is when it comes to right-wing protesting, right? This is how it goes. To left-wing protesting, this would never have happened. Never. Imagine a BLM, protest trying to get into the... Yes, they get fucking shot. They will fucking die.
This would be Tiananmen Square. We would have our own little Tiananmen Square here.
Yes, exactly.
Capitol Square 2020 was 2021.
Oh my god. Capitol 2020 in an alternate universe. Yep.
And that would definitely happen. They would definitely die. They wouldn't hesitate to pull out the gun and just start shooting at random. And this is the clear double standard, right? When white people does it, not really that bad. We can get over it. It's time to move on. When black people does it, when people of color do it, no.
Especially left wing.
Left wing, because they know that
our government is so quickly willing to murder leftists. Just look at what the fuck they did around the third world. The governments that they supported. They kept, for example, in Argentina, we supported Pinochet's takeover in '73.
It's Chile, not Argentina.
Chile. Sorry about that. I mean, shit happened in Argentina too.
Yes.
Brazil, and basically all of America. 30,000 left-wing students and other left-wingers were murdered and tortured. Fellas, our government has no incentive. But meanwhile, I'm sorry. Our government has no care for humans. No. And frankly, the only ones that they're willing to protect are those who are protecting the interests of the ruling class.
I could list so many shit like the CIA did with like the third world and funding far right dictatorships.
Oh god, 73%.
Indonesia.
Google America 73% of dictatorships. Literally, Google America 73% dictatorships. Go ahead, Google it, everyone.
Google that. Indonesia, they killed around, I think, 2 million people that were quote unquote considered communists. Like, a lot of them weren't even communists themselves. They were just suspected leftists. And also my native country, the Philippines, with in the 70s, what's his name? General Marcos. Yeah, that was one. I could list so many. I can't even there's just so, especially in South America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and this is such a meme in the left. If you ever spend any significant time in the left, you'll realize that there's a bunch of memes on how America usually coups every fucking country with the slightest intel of leftism. Left wing, and it's inherently it's so fucking funny, those memes. But we have to remember that shit is real. It does happen. And we don't see that in America. We don't see it with fucking white people. That never happens.
Yeah.
And it's because
also,
they're
the
just
fact that they funded in the 70s and early 80s, they funded the Guatemalan dictatorship. That was pretty much a fascist one. That was literally genociding natives in Guatemala.
Yes.
So that's gotta keep one. That's one example.
And there's a lot of attempted coups as well, that didn't succeed, which is great.
For example, the one that happened 2 years ago already in Bolivia.
Yes, 2 years. It was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That it's so quick.
When I was writing. Yeah, when I was writing about it for my newspaper, I remember 2 years. It was 2019. I was writing about it for my newspaper. It feels like only yesterday.
It does. It really does. It's shocking.
That was that was an exciting piece right at the time, but now it's literally 2 years later, and it doesn't feel like I aged a day. Like, what the fuck? It feels like only a couple months ago.
Yeah, it is shocking to me. I know. It is it's very shocking because 2 years already. Whoa, what the fuck? Time flies. But yeah, that's one of the intended coups. There's multiple more. But yeah, you don't see this happening here. I wonder
they
why.
Also,
I wonder why.
The CIA and the government, like the CIA, also usually target a lot of like countries that try to nationalize their own resources and everything, to have less dependence on the first world, trying you know what I mean. For example, I think, I don't know the exact events, but I think in the Middle East, or some Middle Eastern country tried to nationalize their oil, and there was
Iran.
a military. Yeah. There we go. That's one example.
Iran.
So,
And what happened with Iran is that there was an opposite reaction that happened not too long after. Eventually, the events of the democratically elected leader who wanted to nationalize oil being couped, those events led directly to the current system, the current theocracy in charge.
Yeah. If a country, usually, especially if a third world country tries to gain more independence for them, as in more self-reliance on themselves,
Self-determination.
Without neo-imperialism dominating them, there's going to be a coup. There's going to be some kind of coup, or any undemocratic reshuffling of power, especially by the CIA or something. So because neo-imperialism is needed to is basically neo-feudalism, such as getting resources from poorer countries like Africa and India, the labor, the third world workers in those factories, if you can imagine, trying to make a lot of say clothes and appliances for the first world.
Wait, did you just say neo-feudalism?
Sorry, neo-imperialism. Oh my god.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, what?
No. But all of that is needed to maintain this the world structure to benefit the first world, which is why there's a huge divide between the first world and the third world.
Right.
It's artificial.
It is. And they will keep it up, They will try to do their, best in power to keep it up and, propagate it.
Yep.
And this is why we need to be smart. We need to be fucking smart.
Yeah.
Try to come up with tactics that would, sabotage, coups like it did, in Bolivia.
Here in the United States, there's something we can do. We need to ramp the fuck up our anti-war movement.
Yes.
We had one back in the 60s and 70s, and it helped end the fucking Vietnam War. We need that shit back. I know a lot of damage was done to anti-war sentiment due to the Bush era, where he was like, you don't support our wars, you're anti-patriotic, and you know how Americans are with patriotism. And I assume there's something similar in Britain, but Britain is much less powerful than the United States.
True, yeah.
We need to bring back anti-war. The anti-war needs to become mainstream again. That shit needs to be something that average centrists are thinking about and considering. Okay? Right now, not supporting the wars in the Middle East is not really fundamentally not supporting them, rather than just saying, oh, they're bad. That's something only a very small radical portion of the population does. I don't see liberals actively condemning our wars in the Middle East and the military-industrial complex. They'll just say, oh, the wars are bad. That's not enough. We know war is bad. Everyone knows war is bad. But is it worth it? And the fact of it is, for you, a lot of the times it is.
Right. Yeah, and they will try to bring up excuses on why it's justified, the whole, terror that's happening in the Middle East. They would try it. That's what they do. The thing is, we need to take power from the liberals and, take control back from the left and make real leftist voices heard. And bring back the whole
through alternative media.
Yes,
and such.
Yes, obviously.
Yeah. Make sure that we're the voice of the left. When people think left, it can't be liberals. It has to be us.
It has to be leftist. Yes. And stop confusing. By the way, wait. Stop confusing us with liberals. We're not fucking liberals, okay? We
hate capitalism.
We
hate
have
America.
We have literally been in the books, in the records, just hating liberals for 1,000 years by now. All right. How do you think? How do you think we're the same thing? We're not. We're very fucking different.
Because in the United States, there's no left. We've all been either murdered or silenced.
Not only that,
yes.
but in just Western countries in general, like like the general view of the political spectrum is just like, oh, this quote unquote left wing party, even though it's not left wing, but you know what I mean. This liberal party and this right wing party. So like oh god, it's like here, I don't know. I think it's the same with you Americans, but when I talk to about politics in Britain here, it's really frustrating because like when talking to an average person, all they can think is, oh, you support Labour then, even though I don't like Labour, especially now because it's just pretty much a Tory like party right now. But like all they can think is the two parties, the quote unquote Liberal Party and the right wing party, even though it's so much more than that. You know, they can go into so many different directions.
Oh, let's discuss another aspect. The fact that most people who live under liberal democracies can't think of democracy as anything but just voting. In fact,
true,
this is how they will. If you ask somebody who's like an average person living under liberal democracy what democracy is, they'll be like, oh, just voting for your leaders. That's not what democracy is. Democracy is rule by the people.
Yes.
That means rule by the working people, since we make up the vast majority of the population. And that means that means people's organizations, that means open discussions, that means anything and everything's up for debate. That's not how liberal democracies work, though.
Yeah.
Not just a democracy over politics, but democracy over everything, including the workplace. So
yeah, workplace democracy is inherently a democratic society, a truly democratic one, needs workplace democracy because that's where you spend such a large portion of your life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
a third of your waking life.
Yeah.
God, capitalism sucks. Anyways, I think that's I think that's about all the time we had.
I wanted to mention something on the side, just because it's like breaking news, and it happened only a couple of days ago. The situation going on in Turkey with them pulling out of the Istanbul Convention, is it what it's called? This has caused an increase in anti-woman violence and anti-LGBT violence. Please do your research on this.
Yes, please pay attention to what's happening in Turkey right now.
Also, Olga, you seem to know a lot about the Istanbul Convention. Would you mind providing some info or, like, your thoughts also?
I don't know enough about it. I've literally just heard it this morning.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, guys, do your research on the Istanbul Convention.
I don't remember if it's called convention or something, but something happened in Turkey. Please look into it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's about all the time we have. Thank you guys for watching this video. And yeah, new episodes will come in a few days from now, hopefully, if nothing comes up. So yeah, everybody say bye.
Bye. Well done for keeping up with that shouting.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.